I believe the hope we have for this world is directly correlated to how often we allow ourselves to dream. And frankly, I'm fucking over people putting dreams in boxes of what's realistic or sensible or practical when we'd never ask that of hope. I know you feel tired. I do too. We're doing it anyway. A podcast for tired dreamers, unpacking the expectations, the conditioning, the fear and shame alongside other cages we may not yet know we're living inside. By the way, I'm Cait. Let's get into it. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the She's Hungry podcast. I'm your host, Cait Pearson. Sorry, intrusive thoughts one. I was like, you're on a radio show. Pretend you're on a radio show. Anyway, so you're going to have to forgive me. I skipped my entire morning routine this morning because I felt really inspired to come on here and talk about this thing that I want to talk about today. And that means like I skipped my coffee. I skipped journaling. I was like, you know what? I just want to come. I just want to deliver. I just want to deliver the message to the people. And no, this is not, to clarify, this is not from the spirit guides. This is not from them. This is entirely from me. This might as well just be an episode of, because I wasn't invited, the advice column you never asked for. Yeah, let's categorize it under that. If people don't want to text you, let them. If people don't want to change their life, let them. If people don't want to put the work in, let them. If people want to complain about their life over and over and over again, let them. If, people don't want to call you, let them. If they don't want to go the extra mile to make plans, let them. Let them. Because here's the thing. And if you there's one thing to be said about, wanting to be communicative and supportive and like a good friend or a helpful partner, whatever those things mean to you. There's one thing to be said about that, about, wanting to show up and, you really care about your friend and they're going through a really hard time right now. And so they might be complaining about the job that they hate. That situation, that's not who they are. It's just who they're being currently. And that's okay because it's not something that they're like taking in and rooting inside of them. And now it's become part of their identity. It's literally just a thing that they're going through until it's not. And the only person that's going to be able to differentiate that in the moment when you're experiencing that is you. But the reason that I'm saying all this is because, when we stop intervening with people's repeated behavior patterns that we do not like or that don't make us feel safe or valued or seen, then you get to see and experience who they really are and who they are actually choosing to be. And then you get the most accurate data set of information on whether or not this person is worth keeping around. And I know that that's really difficult to hear in some cases. And it's easier said than done. And again, there is something as far as this relationship matters to me and I want to communicate with this person that whatever behavior they're exhibiting right now doesn't work for me. Do it. 100% do it. Absolutely. I am a huge proponent for communication, in case you haven't noticed. I over communicate. You know how people are like, oh, I don't want to say the thing because I want to be, detached and nonchalant. I always think about Lauren Bostic, the Skinny Confidential. She said one time that, the key to like dating or something like that was having poodle energy, which is in her, the way she described it is like just being very nonchalant, like not giving energy to the situation, like that you're busy or that you don't care, like don't text them back right away. Don't do, I don't know, but I'm just not that person. I want to just be, if I'm like, I don't want to be chalant or nonchalant. I want to be full chalant. Um, I don't know. Like, that's me. I don't want to have poodle energy. I try to have poodle energy sometimes, but I just don't. Like, and this goes for not just romantic partners. I mean, like my friends, a stranger that I find their story to be fascinating. I am in. I'm all in. I'm listening with both ears. I am present. I'm just like invested. I'm invested. Does that mean that I'm like emotionally attached to the situation? No, I've done a lot of work to differentiate the two, but I'm not nonchalant. I am full chalant. I'm like, does that need to be a shirt? Full chalant. Um, but yeah, like there's something to be said about, communication. Communicate, please communicate. I think that more people need to do a better job at communicating. I think we live in a society right now that ghosting culture is um, second nature because we just are unwilling to tolerate uncomfortable situations because we don't see the value in, you know, telling a perfectly fine stranger that they're just not the one for us. Like, why is that? Why do we avoid that conversation? Because we're worried we're going to hurt somebody's feelings. If you've been on one date or two dates with somebody and that person's feelings are going to get hurt because you're like, "Hey, this just isn't for me." That's 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 not, I mean, I get it. I get it. But like do the work, practice hurting people's feelings when it's just the truth that needs to be said. Boom. There it is. That's the quote of the entire episode. It's just, we need to practice being uncomfortable. Um, and that includes allowing people to be who they are when they don't follow through with, or they're just not the human that we want them to be. As I don't know if this is just like something that I've done in the past and that I've noticed in um, other relationships as far as like friends and acquaintances and people that I've heard some bits and pieces of their stories. But I think that we need to really do a lot of work on not falling in love with the potential of people and not falling for who we believe that they can be with the facilitation of us and what our energy like creates for them or co-creates for them. Like that's just something I really feel like we need to dig into. And maybe that needs to be an entire episode all on its own, but it's just when people show you who they are, let them, because you don't deserve um like less than something that's absolutely 100% like for you. It doesn't, and that doesn't I love saying this because then the next thing that happens in my head is like somebody's going to hear that and they're going to be like, there's going to be two things that come up. They're going to be like, well, um like nothing's perfect. Nobody's perfect. Nobody's going to be 100% for me. Yes, welcome to the real world. Thank you for pointing that out. I just got aggressive. Like I just heard somebody like say that out loud, and that's just my own internal thoughts. Like I was like, wait, let me defend this. Like it's not just me having a conversation with myself sitting here. um, but that's the thing. That's beautiful. That it's like no one is going to be 100% for you. Yes, and in getting to know yourself fully, which I also think there's a disconnect of in our society, you then also get to decide where your boundaries live and your core values are and where those lines are drawn for it, like where does the compromise live. Because like, for instance, I have a core value of autonomy. I like to be able to make my own choices when I want to make those choices. And I only want to take into consideration the things that deeply matter to me when I make those choices. And those things that deeply matter to me, I am the person that controls what they are. I know what they are. You don't actually, no one else needs to know what they are. I know what they are. And those are the only things I consider when I make any kind of decision of value in my life. A boundary of mine is, you know, like you don't think that, forced starvation is like 100% wrong. Like there's no excuse and there's no exception and there's nothing that makes that okay. If you don't believe that, then like not okay with me. That's a boundary. That's a boundary. You don't have to agree with me. You might even stop listening to the show because of it, but that's a boundary. That's okay. That's okay with me. Um, but I'm not going to say, oh, well, he holds the door open for me and he pays for my meals and he brings me flowers. Um, and so he has all these other qualities that I really like that seemingly would make this person a compassionate seeming person, like a thoughtful, compassionate person. Oh, but so like, I think that it's just going to take a couple of more conversations about the whole, forced starvation thing for him to like really see it and come around. No, that's not. No. Um, you're again, that's literally like hoping for the potential of somebody to change when they're already telling you who they are. Flowers and like doing what's right aren't, there's no equivalent there. And one isn't the road to the other. And I think that we miss that. And people, I don't want that for you. I don't want that for you. You don't want that for you. Um, and I know that like that was like a pretty that was like pretty like contrasting topics, but I think and there's like a lot of that's like a very big gap between flowers and forced starvation for the Palestine. Like that's a big gap there. And so it's kind of easy. I mean, if you're literally sitting here being like, well, duh. But I want you to practice this in smaller moments, like with smaller gaps, with smaller things. And like we cannot fall in love with the potential of people. I think that needs to be an entire episode too. But this is just a whole episode about allowing people to be who they are. Let them be who they are. And then make the most informed choice you can about whether or not they get to have access to you based on that information. And yes, maybe you can have a conversation with them once or maybe even twice. Look, it's your life. Have a conversation with them 4 times, but decide for you where your boundary lives on how many conversations are worth your time till you finally believe them. Yeah. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Okay. That's your oracle advice for the day. Again, this wasn't a message from the spirit guides, although it feels like a spiritual message that they would give me. But this is just about not falling in love with the potential of people, allowing people to be who they are, and not um, thinking that your influence will help them become the person that you think that they can be. Yeah. And just knowing that only you can know yourself well enough to know what your core values are and um where your boundaries lie. And I think that that's the bedrock of everything, because when you know that to your core, really nothing else change, or nothing else really, it does, like, gray areas they're not gray anymore. When you know those things clearly, you're like, oh, it's doing that thing against my core values. It's doing that thing against my boundaries. So what does that say? Not going to be easy, but it's going to be worth it. So take a hike, Joe Schmo, or Sally Sue, or whomever. It doesn't mean that it's a never, like you can never see them ever again. It just means this is currently not going to work for me. And what's cool about that is that when you do that, that person might be upset or hurt or angry. But at some point in time, they're going to realize that if they're also unhappy with decisions that they're making or people that they've allowed in their life, they're going to be like, oh, maybe what she did is the thing that I should be doing, or they did, or he did that I should be doing. I don't know. It gives some perspective to people and what they're doing and how they're living. And I think that's cool too. When you stand up for yourself, it allows people to stand up for themselves too. All right. That's today's episode. I love you. I really need some coffee now. I really, really need some coffee. Yeah. So on that note, I love you all so much. And if this kind of thinking or this kind of work is of interest to you when it comes to figuring out what your beliefs are, figuring out what your core values are, figuring out where your boundaries lie, if those are if those are things that are of interest to you and you feel like you don't know where to start because there's so much information out there, that you feel like you've tried everything and that nothing is really stuck, please reach out to me. Let's book a call together, because I have, like, with all the modalities that I've studied, with all the work that I've done personally, I'm your girl. Like, let's do it. So just, yeah, book a call. I have a coaching project coming up in April that I will be hosting. So if you're not signed up for that already, go to the link. I will put it in the link of this, or put it in the link. Oh my God. The link in my profile. Well, it will also be there if you follow me on Instagram, but the link for that will be in the show notes. So, or if you are reading this or on Substack, it'll also be there. It'll be accessible anywhere. So anywhere where you can find me, this link for the coaching project will be available. A coaching project is just, it's going to be 30 days. It's going to be 20 calls in 30 days. And it's 75 minutes a session, and it's completely free. And it's literally because lately I've just been feeling really disconnected to a value of mine that I deeply believe in, that people deserve to be, to have access to support and feel supported and seen and heard. And I've just been, a part of conversations lately where I feel like people don't have a place to put the things that they're feeling. And I am like, okay, that's the universal call for me, to step into the void and say, hey, I have the bandwidth, I have the space, and there's nothing that would truly make me happier than holding space for you and, giving whatever it is that you're carrying some space to air it out. So, yeah, that'll be in wherever you are reading this, listening to this, following me, Instagram, Substack. My email list will get it, and it'll be in the show notes. So do that. It starts in April, but I'm booking the calls now. So let your girl know. Sign up. Let's chat. All right. I love you deeply. As we always say, go out there and live your fantastic fucking life. Because we got one shot at this, and you're worth deeply getting to know. and you're worth fighting for, and you're perfect just as you are, and you don't have to earn anybody's, like, you don't have to earn your value. You are powerful, you are limitless, you're priceless, you are enough. And until next time, always stay hungry.